Biology grade 11. Here we are. We start biology grade 11 through YouTube video. Now, the first unit course we have to see grade 11 textbook, the new textbook, content of the textbook. Totally, there are 6 units. 6 units as you observe here. The first unit talks about biology and technology, two terms, biology and technology. How can we blend them? What does mean biology mean technology? Then the use of biology, technology applied biology field. The second is animals. Animals, a very huge title, of course. Some aspects of this kingdom, Animalia. One kingdom, one big kingdom, of course, Animalia. The third, a very interesting part of physiology or biochemistry, enzymes. We shall talk about enzymes, really smart molecules. And the fourth, still very modern, highly developing at molecular level, genetics. We shall see what genetics is, starting from the grassroots, that is the preliminary aspect of genetics, preliminary aspect that the fundamentals put forward by Gregor Mendel, the foundation, to the modern genetics, molecular genetics or molecular biology. Unit 5 talks about the human body systems. Here, 3 systems are discussed: the reproductive system, the musculoskeletal system, muscular and skeletal system of humans. It's anatomy. The last unit talks about demography, population, and natural resources. Briefly, very brief aspect of demography, some aspect of demography, and natural resources. These are the contents for one academic year for this grade 11 biology. Then when it comes to the first unit talks, the first unit is entitled Biology and Technology. It's 2 terms. And what are, first let's see, what are the titles, subtitles, subtitles included under this biology and technology. The first, as you see, 1.1, learning from nature, learning from nature. When it comes to biology, learning from the living aspect of nature. Nature is both biotic and abiotic. Of course, here, since we are studying biology, we will talk about how we could learn from the living component of nature, the living organisms, starting from the microscopic to the most advanced plants and animals. The second is, again, biology and technology. This is the same title with the unit title. And subtitles, the benefit of biology to technology, how biology benefits the technology in many fields. The second, 1 to 2, uses of technology in biology, how technology is helping the growth and development of biology, the science of biology. And 1.3, impacts of biology and technology on society and the natural world. The impacts we shall see briefly. We may see the impacts by classifying into 2: impacts of biology on the society and the natural world, impacts of technology on the society and the natural world. Technology used in biology. 1.4, the last subtitle is ethical uses, ethical issues in biology. What are the ethical issues in biology? Ethics. Science should have ethics. There are ethics in biological science, ethics in medicine, ethics in physics, ethics in chemistry, whatever. Therefore, ethical issues in biology. 1.1, ethical treatment of plants and animals during biological studies, biological investigation, research work. 1.4.1.1, ethical treatment of plants, and 1.4.1.2, ethical treatment of animals in experiment. We shall classify. Therefore, these are the subtitles included briefly when it is compared with the other units. The other units, relatively, maybe the shortest unit is unit 1. Very short. It tells you what biology is and why technology is. How can we blend technology with biology or vice versa? And let us proceed to the first introductory part. We shall start the introduction by beginning from Biology is term biology. Biology, of course, biology, you know it. Biology, a cliche term, of course, old fashioned. Nowadays, we call this special field of natural science, life science. Anyway, one of the three sister natural sciences, biology, chemistry, and physics are the three cornerstones of the natural science disciplines, major pure science disciplines. And biology deals, just unlike chemistry and physics, what makes biology different from chemistry and physics is that biology deals with the highly ordered part of this universe, or highly ordered organized part, that is the living component of our ecosystem or whatever our planet. Biology deals directly with the living component of nature, direct relation with living. That's why we call it bio. Bio is life. Logi, logos, understanding, or study, or investigation, similar. Anyway, therefore, biology is, it's highly developed field of study that belongs to the natural science. It deals with the living component of life. I mean, living component of the planet. It studies about living organisms, starting from the microscopic to the most complex and advanced plants and animals. When it comes to biology, studies every living organism from tiniest microbial unicellular organisms to the largest organism. Also includes the study of viruses. Of course, viruses, as you know, viruses are not living, but they are organic entities. Organic entities. They are not cells. Everything in biology to be studied, it must be organic. Everything to be organic, it must be made from cells, the smallest basic structural unit of living organisms. When it comes to viruses, viroids, prions, virusoids, all these are organic entities. For example, viruses are DNA or RNA covered with some protein code. They are not cellular, so they are not strictly organic. But when they enter as parasites, when they enter into plants or other organisms, animals, other organisms, when they parasite, they may assume living characters. When they enter into living cells, they can multiply, they use energy, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, they assume some properties, living property. So that it's the mission of biology to study also viruses. Otherwise, they are not strictly speaking organisms. You may call them half organisms, since they may assume some living features when they enter into living cells. Therefore, this is what biology studies, living organisms. When it comes to the other aspects, studies almost everything about living organisms. What does biology study about living organisms? Everything, almost everything about living organisms. Biology studies our structure, function, our organism, the structure of organisms, anatomy, morphology, function of organs, function of cells, function of tissues, growth and development, reproduction. It studies origin and evolution. It studies interaction of organisms with themselves and with their environment. Chemistry, it studies the chemistry of living organisms, etc. Therefore, it studies everything, almost everything about living organisms. And when we come to the other term, that is technology, how can we define the term technology? It's the use or application of scientific knowledge or skill, or scientific methods or scientific processes for a specific goal or purpose. You see, we are using something scientific. What is that something? It could be knowledge obtained through scientific research, a skill obtained through scientific research, scientific methods, scientific processes are used for a specific goal or purpose. This is simple definition for the term technology. And the other for the production of the use of science for the production of devices and tools for scientific interest. You may define also technology as the use or application of the scientific knowledge or skill or method or process for the production of devices and tools for scientific interest. You see, therefore, This is simple definition for technology as far as um, this class level is concerned. Now, then let us unite these three terms. You see, science. We have said science. Biology, chemistry, and physics are the three natural sciences. Major basic natural sciences. Yes, science. Science is a systematized way of getting knowledge through observation and experimentation. We observe nature and natural phenomena. We question. We do experiment, and that becomes scientific knowledge. Therefore, science is a big enterprise, big enterprise, starting from the ancient philosophical periods to the 21st, to this very new 21st century. Science has built huge knowledge content, and also science has huge applications that made the human life easier, simple, and also solved many of the human problems. Science. Therefore, there is science there. It is a tool for humans to make human life simple, to solve human problems. Science. Then there is society. We human beings. We human beings are there. Society. And here we do have technology application of the scientific knowledge, method, scientific process for the good of humanity. You see, uh, society demands more from science. We demand more. We need more science to give us more to make our life simple. If possible, even you do want science to make the invisible visible. That means you can talk about God. If science could uh, expose God and make God visible, everybody loves that, of course. Therefore, we demand more from science. We benefit from technology, that application, technology in physics, chemistry, and biology. Okay? Society demands more from science. Society benefits from technology. When it comes to technology still demands more from science. You see, we demand. Science is a giver, the donor. We are the recipient. Technology also uses scientific knowledge for making human life easier and to solve human problems in agriculture, in nutrition, in medicine, blah blah. Technology demands more from science. Technology makes life easier or solves human problems, you can say. When it comes to science, science informs, yes, scientific research, it informs knowledge, the knowledge that you are learning, knowledge in physics, knowledge in chemistry, biology, atomic theory, you say, in chemistry. Newton's first, second law, third law. When it comes to biology, you study about cells, what are cells, basic units of life, how do cells communicate with their environment, how do cells communicate with each other, all these stuffs are science. For science informs, yes, it informs technology, information to the technology so that it can be used. Science seeks to improve the human life, the society, the problems, the life of society. Therefore, these are interrelated. Therefore, um, the other aspect of this unit, the first, now so far we have been seeing the interactive part. You see, learning from nature 101. The first part of this unit is subtitle is learning from nature. Nature is a big, big teaching tool. Nature, when you say nature, everything. What is there is a question? What is imitation? You see, learning from nature. How do we learn from nature? Just that term. Use that term. Through imitation. This aspect of learning from nature is through imitation. You see, what is imitation? It says one way for humans to learn from nature is through imitation. What do we imitate? Living organisms and non-living organisms. If we are telling about imitation of nature, uh, we have to imitate living organisms. I mean, living or non-living organisms. Therefore, imitation of nature. when it comes to biology, we are not going to imitate every part of nature, just to be focused on our own domain. The domain for biology is the living component of the, the ecosystem. What do we imitate? Nature. If we are imitating nature, everything natural. What's nature? Everything natural. The natural world. We are imitating the natural world. What is nature then? Nature, you can simply define nature. Nature in the physical, natural, material world that is not artificial. Nature is everything which is not made by humans. The rivers, the oceans, the soil, the atmosphere, the celestial bodies there, the stars, any other solar system or any other part which can be sensed and which can be investigated or studied. Nature, which is not artificial. And then we may divide nature into two: biotic, the part of nature which has life, which is the domain of biology, of course, and the part of nature which is non-living, like the soil, the rocks, the atmosphere, celestial bodies, all this, the mountains, the land for anyway, biotic and abiotic. Therefore, our domain is upper one, biotic, the living component of nature. Therefore, when we imitate nature, we are imitating all this biotic and abiotic. When we are imitating in biology, we imitate living organisms. Therefore, we need to study living organisms. How living organisms solved their problems. So that may be used. Mm. Touch it. Okay, and when it comes to biology, as I told you, in biology, we learn, we learn and imitate the living organisms. We study living organisms. we 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 observe, study living organisms, and everything about living organisms, and we imitate their way of living, so that we may translate it into technology. That means apply it to solve human problems or make human life easier. Therefore, you see, nature, of course, the other part of nature may be used or studied or imitated in other fields like chemistry and uh, physics. When it comes to biology, we are imitating living organisms. How living organisms? Therefore, living nature. What is living nature? Living organisms. The living nature inspires. This living nature inspire araga. Inspiration. New inspires scientists and engineers and architects, if you like, architecture. One area where living organisms have been imitated to build many wonderful constructions or buildings around the world. I will show you. There are some examples uh, by which living organisms, plants, and animals are copied, just imitated to be translated into monuments, architectural works. Therefore, engineers serve as a reliable source of knowledge, ideas, concepts from which technologies can be developed. You see, nature inspires. Nature brings, inserts inspiration into engineers, architects, the medical technology experts, so that they come and study living organisms, so that they may make some tools or instruments which can make the human life easier or solve human problems. And buildings were made through the imitation of the mound architecture. I will show you this mound architecture, one wonderful um, imitation work from termite mound, the mud constructed termite house, which can maintain a constant internal temperature despite fluctuation in external temperature. They first studied termite mound termite mound. Then they translate it into building, the Estigate building found in Zimbabwe, one wonder of mimicry or the imitation from the house construction by termites. I will show you that. I do have picture. Then, when nature provides us with structures and forms which can be developed as functional or applicable mechanism for various technological systems. There are robots built after observing how kangaroos jump. Just there are robots that can jump just like kangaroos. There are robots which can roll and move just like worms. Worms have been studied and robots are built, constructed that can move just like worms or larvae of some insects. You see, there are robots made by studying how bats fly. But birds have inspired scientists in the construction of the aircraft, the aero, airplanes or jets. You see, therefore, nature provides us with structures and forms which can be developed as functional and applicable mechanisms for various technological systems in many different areas: medicine, in aerodynamic products like airplanes, and in architecture. What do we learn from nature? What do we learn from nature? Scientists and engineers learn from nature through imitation of physical structure. We learn physical structure. We can copy the shape, of some plant leaf or stem or fruit. Shape, physical structure, shape, material content, the material content, and functional mechanism, how it works. Some part of that organism, how it works in nature. Therefore, all these scientists and engineers, or including architects, learn from nature through imitation of physical structure, shapes, materials, functional mechanism, processes, all aspects which can be easily understood and can be translated into technology. We study some aspect of plants. What is that aspect? We study the shape of an organism. We study the physical structures of an organism. We study the material content of an organism. We study how part of an organism is functioning and the process inside, even cells or bacteria, how it processes. We can study all this and translate it into technology to make human life easier or solve human problems. Point, let me ask you this question. Read this question, please. Everybody, learn from nature. That's where our future lies. Who said this?